What's a social habit everyone seems to accept, but you find really annoying? Before we start with the first story, please hit subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. People congregating in doorways, particularly when there is plenty of non-doorway space available. I had a boyfriend back in the day, and we met his family at an art museum to do a tour and have a nice day out. When I met his family, they were all standing in the doorway of the museum and blocking the entrance completely. I politely ushered them into the main area, and the entire visit, I had to keep herding them out of doorways. In hindsight, this was a very strong indicator of how he and his family viewed the world, and I should have realized this was yet another sign of how self-absorbed and entitled he was. Should have broken up with him much earlier. Story 2. Not everything has to be filmed. For me, I'm 50-50 on that. I feel like not everything has to be filmed, posted on socials, but on another hand, I don't mind it as much. Reason being, the older I've gotten, the more people I've lost, and I'm so grateful I decided to film a lot when said person and I were together. It's a wonderful drivel to have when those people aren't around anymore. I used to not like taking pictures or having my picture taken and thought I preferred being in the moment, but I've since lost quite a few people that were significant to me, and I didn't have a single picture of us together. I'm now unashamed to take photos and videos everywhere. The difference being that the majority of it is posted in the group chat or the shared album and not on social media. Story 3. Kids blasting whatever TV show on their iPads in the middle of a restaurant while I'm trying to eat. The kids can watch whatever, but somebody teach them to use headphones. I personally think kids should have no iPads at certain times like this. Make them learn to be present, aware of the world around them, and bored occasionally. Being bored is a part of life. I'm not talking about the kids who are really neurodivergent, just the regular kids. I mean, if it was a super challenging day, then occasional restaurant tablet use is acceptable. It's the whole kid in a stroller with the iPad, transferred to the high chair, never looking up from it, taking the occasional bite while still glued to it, that kind of scares me. Especially with how often I see it. Story 4. People who stop in the middle of a busy walkway to check their phones. It's like they think they've hit pause on the world. I really don't understand this behavior. If I need to look at my phone or stop for any other reason, I will park by moving out of the flow of fellow pedestrians and finding somewhere out of the way. Same with shopping with a trolley. If I need to stop to pick something up, I'll move to the side of the aisle. I won't push or pull the trolley at an angle or otherwise make it difficult for other customers to do their shopping. Seems like a no-brainer in either situation and common courtesy, yet so few people fail to do it. Story 5. Filming strangers. It's one thing if you're just taking a holiday snap or something and there's people in the background, but actually pointing your camera at strangers without their consent solely for the purpose of making videos of them to post online is not cool. I get it's legal to do so in most public places. Once I was pumping breast milk in a pumping bra and cardigan while driving, and a carload of teenagers stopped next to me at a red light. They pulled their phones out and started recording me. While I'm desperately trying to close my cardigan without spilling milk everywhere, they rolled down the window and yelled out, "Haha, gross, this is going on TikTok," then sped off. I don't think I've ever wished to see a car crash more in my life. Don't film strangers. Story 6. Being expected to be constantly available via social media, chat, text, call at any and all hours. If you try to opt out, it's seen as weird or antisocial. I'm old, but when I was a kid, it was a special treat for us kids to receive a phone call from grandma. A thing that happened maybe a couple times a year. We visited grandma more than she called on the phone. My mom will get bitter and guilt-trippy if my son doesn't answer her text message inside of an hour. I just noted last night that it's probably not healthy for me to instantly get job rejection emails while eating breakfast and dinner every day. I got an online notification that my doctor quit during the eclipse in April. I miss being able to separate tasks. I can't even avoid the news because my phone automatically pushes articles. Story 7. Being on your phone while having an in-person conversation with someone. Like, "Hello, I'm right here, not on your screen." I stopped hanging out with a lot of people when I came to the realization that I was talking to them while they looked at their phones the whole time. I'm not going to waste my time if you don't actually want to, hang out with me. No, keep talking, I'm still paying attention, they always say before missing every last syllable you're about to say. I personally don't mind if people have to respond to a text message here or there, but I wish people wouldn't pressure you to keep talking when they're not focused on you. The human brain doesn't work like that. If you're focused on typing out a text message, your brain will drown out whatever I'm saying, no matter how good you think you are at multitasking. Please don't make me out to be the jerk, because I'm waiting for your focus to be back on me. Story 8. People think it's normal to stare at your phone when your friend, acquaintance is with you, etc. I think it's disrespectful. A friend of ours was visiting last weekend, and he was going on and on about iPad kids with too much screen time, and how his kid wasn't going to be on screens, his wife is pregnant. First off, my dude, I had all sorts of opinions before I was a parent. Hypothetical kids are the easiest to raise. Second, he was doinking around with his smartphone the entire time he was talking to me, like not making eye contact and half listening to my replies. So I pointedly looked at his phone and said, "In my experience, the most important thing is to set an example. If you don't want your kid hooked on screens, you start with yourself." To his credit, he got it right away and put his phone down for the rest of the visit. Story 9. At work, if someone leaves early, no one bats an eye. But if you're just a few minutes late, you can get in hot water. Just one of those interesting societal norms I noticed. I have a coworker who cleared it with his boss to work from 10 to 7 to better accommodate his schedule. Some other employees complained so much that he was getting in late, even after being told about his schedule. A different manager even complained about it jokingly to the CEO. "I'm sorry, do you want to work until 7 p.m. each night? Also, he works hard and well, and you are incompetent. Mind your own business." People in the workplace should pay more attention to how well you do at your job than the exact minute to arrive. We have a culture of extreme punctuality, in my opinion, to the extent that it is often valued above everything else. Story 10. Putting down everything on the internet. A movie just came out? Sucks. Music just dropped? Sucks. Someone made some food? Sucks. Celebrity had a bad day and yelled at someone? Sucks, and they should lose their career. There is nothing positive on the internet now. Everything sucks, and if you do happen to enjoy something, some head will certainly try to break you down over it. It's actually depressing to read comments on anything, especially news or pop culture stuff, because it's always a stack of critics responding. Dare to call them out or tell them to get lost. Well, you made it my business by posting it. Don't put it out there if you don't want my opinion. Story 11. Tipping even when service wasn't received. I just got into a discussion with a friend about this. I went to a restaurant and was hardly served. There was cups and a carafe of water already at the table. QR code to order and pay. You sit wherever it's open. The only time a worker came was to tell me about the QR code and drop off my food. I didn't believe a 20% tip was deserved. My friend argued that the staff depends on it, and I need to consider the person bussing the table and cooks in the back. They said if I won't pay the 20% tip, then I shouldn't eat there. Tipping annoys me. Story 12. Autistic person here. I hate it when people say one thing and mean another, and when they imply things. The amount of times my mother has told me the dishwasher's clean and then got upset when it wasn't emptied when I was a teen was unfortunate, to say the least. Nowadays, she knows to ask me directly just in case I don't get it. This one got me too. Oh my lord, it's the actual worst. And I hate it in a work environment. Like, just use your words and ask me. Don't get all shy and start hinting. It'll fly right over my head. And then you'll get all mad because it's not done, when all you had to do was say, "Could you do this?" And it would have been done correctly when you wanted. I used to work with a dude who asked me to hand him a piece of paper one time. I looked around and couldn't find one, so I went to pull one from the printer when he angrily stomped over. Picked up a business card and showed it to me like I was an idiot, and then huffed and walked away. I stood there for a second, simultaneously confused and about 3 seconds away from committing a federal crime. I realize I'm overly literal, but way too many people, 1, don't say what they mean, and 2, expect you to bridge the gap for them even when it's not obvious. It's infuriating because frequently the individual in question is actually a moron who lacks the ability to use their words correctly, and half of their anger is frustration with themselves. But they direct at you nonetheless. I love it here, laughing my ass off. Story 13. People asking, "What do you do for a living?" It's judgmental and it's none of your business. It's basically a way of asking how much money someone makes. And I don't want to talk about work when I'm not at work. This is a tough one. While I agree with you, it's one of those questions that have been ingrained into small talk etiquette, like talking about the weather, that most people probably don't mean anything by it. It just happens to be the fastest way to start a small talky conversation that most people can relate to, and naturally leads to discussions about where they work, or where they live, or what their interests are. That said, I never ask that question first until I'm asked. Last thing I want is for the person to be unemployed, or what if they're struggling with bills or debt and work? It's just a reminder of that. Story 14. Playing music on the beach. I don't care what kind of music it is. I'm there to enjoy nature, and the experience includes the relaxing sound of the ocean. Then you have random groups of people walk up and start playing their music as loud as they can, completely ruining the experience for me. It doesn't matter to me what kind of music it is. Even music that I'd normally listen to on my own still ruins the experience. If people playing music are there before I show up, then I try to go somewhere else where I can't hear it, but depending on how busy the beach is. There may not be a spot on the beach for a long distance where someone isn't playing music. Even then, there's no guarantee that some new group of people won't show up and start blasting music. Story 15. Noise. Screaming and shouting on main roads when you wouldn't do that on a side road. Like, there are people living above the shops, dum-dums. Parents who let their crotch goblins shriek and scream anywhere without telling them to stop. People from foreign countries who speak obnoxiously loudly on trains, tubes, buses, restaurants, DRS, waiting rooms, just because I don't understand you. You're still annoying and loud, disrespectful idiots. Teeny-weeny small pricked pricks who insist on their stupidly loud revving engine being heard from 5 miles away on their silly ickle motorbikes. Selfish dog owners who never correct their yapping, non-stop barking hounds, and walk their dogs off lead who always have shown recall. The landing gear on planes never being oiled, so the residents of Southwest London have to endure the horrendous sound of metal against metal grinding above us every FCKN minute of the day and night. Toilet home owners who love the sound of their own voice and think they're the most interesting person on the planet, so can't have a normal level of sound conversation out in their gardens. Sirens on any emergency response vehicle in stuck traffic, or when on an empty road, like they're obviously not required at that time. It's horrendously loud and upsetting. Fireworks. Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your those in the comment below.